All right, now we're going. Now we're recording.
Are you going to say my guest today is, or if you do you get people to figured out that it's always me?
Okay. Thanks everybody for showing up. My name is Chad West. My guest today is my good friend, mentor, coach, and incredible guy, Michael Gardner. You know, when we were talking earlier on, I should say our blooper reel that we just recorded that I'm gonna delete and stuff, but you mentioned something about with marriage, and it just really kind of struck with me about, one of the issues when people get married these days, it's like I notice with some people, especially like with younger people, it's like, no, that's my girlfriend, that's my wife, and they're just like, it's like they're trying to like claim ownership, type thing. And, it's like, it's my way or it's your way. We were talking about that. It's like coming together and creating our way. I've known my wife since 1982, when I was 12 and she was 11. We even went out for like 3 months. I kid you not. I actually have this in writing on my yearbook. I had her sign my yearbook and she said exactly, and I say his word for it because I tease her about it all the time. She goes, whoops.
I don't know how to block those things when I have the speaker on.
No worries. No worries.
They're calling me about my car warranty.
Oh, but my wife said in the yearbook that she signed for me at the end of the year, she said, "Chad, even though I broke up with you, it was fun while it lasted." And then she just signed her name. I was like, and I asked her about it. She goes, "I didn't know what to put." But it's like we've known, we were best friends. We dated for like 3 months in junior high. We dated in high school. We were best friends for throughout high school and stuff. Even dated afterwards. But then it was like the stupidest argument. We never argue, but the stupidest argument. We just kind of went different ways. So it was like I ended up getting married to someone else. She got married to someone else, and it's just weird, 28 years later, we're back in each other's lives, and it's crazy. But I thought getting married to my wife, it's like someone that I've known so long. I was just like, I thought it'd be easy. It was so trying effort. It was because it was coming up with learning how she likes to live her life, and knowing it's different the way that I live my life and stuff, and it's coming up with our ways. And it's taken a lot of time because we work at it, because one of the things, a lot of people, I believe that when they get into a disagreement, get into a fight, or they come to a roadblock, they're just like, oh, here's a roadblock, can't grow anymore. We're just cut the ties, leave. And people are so willing to kind of like hit that delete button, so quickly, even the people in their lives and stuff, it just seems like it's getting easier and easier to just hit that delete button. And I think it's kind of sad, but I think also that's one of the great things of when you have those strong people in your lives, that make that difference and how they assist you in truly growing, because I don't know anybody that has never not had a disagreement, and but it's like the ones that do and they get through that grow into stronger friends, grow into stronger, family members, whatever. But we're all different people. We all have our own unique way of thinking and doing things. And but it's also, like you said, coming to that common ground of acceptance and creating your way together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I come from a divorce background, and I can tell you when I was younger, we did have a lot of, um, I don't want to say knockdown, drag out. They weren't violent, but we had a lot of, not me and Kathy, but me and my other wife had a lot of arguments, and they were pretty intense. But we got married 7 years ago, and we're both. I was almost 60. She was 56, and we really haven't had arguments.
mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it, and it's like I think over time, as you go with relationships, you realize a lot of the things you argue about are not that important. I mean, for example, toothpaste. When you're 20 and you find your spouse squeezing it wrong, that's important. We got to be together on this, and blah blah blah. But when you're 60, it's like whatever. We're gonna die. But just a lot of things aren't worth it. It doesn't mean that you withhold things. It just means it really doesn't bother
There's
me.
certain things that don't bother you as much
Yeah.
as, something
Well,
when it what used to or whatever.
being married to someone that wants to be right all the time, then you feel wrong, and you want to fight back. But when get older, when I finally realized what I wanted, um, and I realized what I didn't want, and God kind of said, "Here you are." And first I was like, "Well, no, it can't be. This doesn't make sense." But it really is something that I feel was divinely put in place, and I actually am with my best friend.
That's awesome. I am too.
A lot
You
of
know,
people,
and
I was talking to an old friend of mine. He's been divorced, and he said, I can honestly say that my wife is my best friend, and
absolutely.
I didn't realize, when we were younger, how much that mattered. But now that I'm older, I realize that these are the kind of things that if you, find it. I mean, I've known couples that stick it out for 50 years, but they hate each other.
Yeah, I got to tell you this: when when my wife and I have, if I ever say something that she she like, what? She gets all mad and it's like, rah, and she starts coming at me. I'll be like, whoa, 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 real quick before you get upset at me. How'd you take that? And she's like, because I think you're taking it differently than the way I was meaning it. So how'd you just take that? So I understand. And then she'll tell me, I'm like, I'm glad I asked. That's not the way I was meaning it. And she'll say, like, well, how are you mean? I was meaning it this way. And she'll be like, oh, okay. And it ends so many arguments. But then again, if I ever do something that's real stupid or anything like that, and she gets mad at me, I'll be like, hey, I'm just a guy. That gets me out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but
I'm
that
like,
was,
what do you expect? I'm just a guy. Come on.
but that first example would have saved a lot of grief in one of my marriages, because I remember I had a wife that I would say something or do something. She'd say, "Well, that was stupid." Well, how did I take it? You're saying I'm stupid, and I will say, I asked her, "You're saying I'm stupid," and she say, "I'm not saying you're stupid." Well, she could say that up and down, but I still took it as, "No, you're saying I'm stupid.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm stupid." Well, why did that matter? Because I kind of felt stupid in my life, and so she was hitting a nerve. And you know later on, Kathy has never, I don't think, ever said something as stupid that I proposed. um, and I don't think she's lying, you know but if she did, now she's here, so I got
Oh, you better be nice, man. I'll say if I come up and
no,
I
I
see it,
think
I'm watching this camera. Also, I see whap.
if
I'll
she
know she
did
came up
if
behind
she
you.
did say something was stupid, um, I don't believe I would react like I used to, because you learn as you get older, life
Absolutely.
experiences, and it's like, do I really want to, go around um, on something like that? No, and do I feel, I might. No, I just can't see her saying that.
One of the other things that I do this with my wife all the time. I truly do. You can ask her. I ask her all the time. It's like for feedback. I'll say, hey, honey, how did I show up as a husband and a friend this week? And she'll give me her feedback, honestly, and when she's done, I'll just say, thank you. And I don't ever respond saying, well, because it's not about that. It's just about I'm asking her how I'm showing up. Now, if she turns around and asks me, I'll share with her, but, and we've both realized the more honest and truthful we are, not ever meaning to hurt the other person's feelings, just say, hey, from my point of view, this is the way I'm seeing it. This is the way I'm feeling it. I notice that goes a long way. It truly has. And it's just done nothing but allowed my wife and I to become even closer, which I love, sometimes when I ask her for that feedback, no bueno.
No, it is.
I'm like,
It's like what we were talking about earlier, which I won't talk about because that was too hot of a subject. But if you're going to ask, you got to be willing to go all the way.
absolutely.
Don't give me half feedback. But the term feedback itself has a connotation, in my experience, of let me rip into you. And it doesn't mean that, but that's where a lot of people take it. Or one of my favorites is, are you open for feedback? Well, what am I going to say to that? That's like, do you still beat your wife? you know?
Sometimes I say, first, you should ask me if I care about your opinion, because it depends on the person that's giving the, you know.
Well, it's like I want to give you unsolicited feedback. Are you open? But here's the thing: you can say yes, I'm open. So no, I don't want it from you. Well, wait, you just said you're open. Yeah, I'm open. I considered it, and the answer is no.
Yeah.
Open doesn't mean I got to say yes to everything. Are you open to this? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna do this. No, but you just said you're open to it. I'm open to it, but open doesn't mean yes.
Right.
It means look at the choices and consider the possibilities and then make a choice. Now, I choose not to hear feedback from you because I'm open. See, because if I feel like I've got to say yes, am I really open? No, I feel like I have no choice but to say yes. Well, then I'm not open.
All
Open
right.
means,
So here's a question for you. What kind of marital advice
no
I
way.
use
No, 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 no.
do you give people?
I don't give advice.
I know you don't.
I
I
talk
was being
conceptually
facetious.
like that one. That's a concept. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was up working at the resort, and somebody came in with a kid. They were in the bathroom. He got a bloody nose, and because he'd gone down this water slide head first and hit the water. I said, "Well, that's why there's a no head first rule. Not only for what you did, but if you come down head first and somebody's there, you're going to hit them in the head, and you and that person are going to have a head injury. So you do what you want with that. I'm not telling you. I'm not going to go out and police you, but there's a reason that we have a no head first rule." And the father said, "Wow, thank you." And I don't know what they did, but that's the same thing in advice. It's like, who am I to give marital advice? I do a relationship training that's very powerful,
Absolutely.
but it's not really advice. It's just here's this, this, and this. Well, let's go to the point we were going to talk about, because I don't originally forgiveness. We were going to talk about that. I don't know if I could go very long on this because it's really very simple. Um, First of all, a lot of people resist it in my experience because they think, okay, if somebody quote unquote wronged me, if I forgive them, that makes it okay. No, has nothing to do with that. So if somebody robbed you and you forgive them, they still committed a crime. They still get to deal with the consequences of their choice. You're just not vested in what those are. If somebody is arrested for, let's say, stealing from you,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to court and you tell the judge, I forgive them, be lenient, that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is saying it, this has no power over me. I learned the lesson and I'm moving on. Whatever you do with this person is up to you. Whatever you decide, whether it be probation or a year in jail or whatever, I'm not vested in that because this whole incident has no power over me. I'm not in authority to decide what their consequences should be either. That's where, judge not, lest ye be judged. But forgiveness is very simply letting go, letting go so it does not have power over you. Now, I don't believe it means forgive and forget. If you forget the lesson.
Right.
Of course, you remember. I mean, if you had, something, sexual abuse, you're not going to forget that. But You'll know when you've forgiven when you can bring that to mind and not react to it. In other words, the person that perpetrated that act, if you react to it, that person has power over you. You know, it's like, I want them punished, I want them caught, I want them, all these things that are out of your control. And you're not going to be happy until they're caught. Well, you know what? They don't even know you're holding this energy. They don't care. Why would you want to give them power over you? So forgiveness simply means I learned the lesson. Now, I don't know what that lesson is. It's probably different for every single person that has occurred with. But I let it go. I let it go. I let go of the judgment of them and the judgment of me. Because with something like that, there are typically judgments that go along with it. I must be this, I must be this, I must be this, I must be this, I must be this. You know, and others, you know, I've seen this in training where people say, no, no, you're not, you're not, you're not. And I'm like, wait, they don't believe you. They probably had thousands of people tell them they're not that. I'm not going to tell you you're not that, but I'm going to promise you this. By the end of this training, you can know that you are worth that more, and all those things that you believe about you are not true. You can know that. Not because I tell you, not because they tell you, but because you know it. And I know we're going to go through some processes that will forward them towards.
I notice with most people that don't forgive others, in all honesty, they don't forgive themselves.
Well, they can't. Forgiveness is not conditional.
Yeah.
You can't say, I forgive you, but not you. Then you're not forgiving.
Right.
You either are forgiving of everyone.
Great point. Not. Great point. Yeah.
Not. I mean, if you know, the only one to truly forgive is yourself, then you are embracing. And if you say, I forgave you, that's great. Are you in forgiveness now?
Did you let it go? Yeah.
Are you, you know, it's not a thing I do per se. It's a way of being that I embrace such that I can live peacefully. But to say, you know, I forgave you, that doesn't matter. Are you forgiving now? Are you being forgiveness now? And if I am, it's unconditional. It's like love. You know, it's like, I love you, but I don't love you. Then it's not love. Or, you know, trust. I trust you, but not you. No, which says I don't trust me. You know, especially when we talk about trust and you've proven to me I can trust you. No, there's nothing to prove. I'm either trusting of me and what I feel, and I can know who is being honest and who isn't. Energy doesn't lie. People will. But, you know, forgiveness is something that is a constant. We embrace it and we reinforce it constantly. It's not a one-time thing. And, you know, so this is where you look at the protesters and rioters. If we're in forgiveness of them, not because they did something wrong, but we're letting go of the judgment of it. So we can assess it neutrally and objectively without throwing a bunch of reaction and emotion and judgment in the equation. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy.
I agree.
But the more we embrace forgiveness, the more power we have, not only to deal with it, but to even address the people involved without going into reaction or judgment.
That's awesome.
That's forgiveness. That's pretty simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. There's something that says, I will forgive whom I will forgive, but unto you it is given to forgive everyone. Like, everyone?
When I look back at my life and I'm taking a look at, like, for example, my ex-wife, you know, stuff, I could very easily know for a fact she does not forgive me. She's just as mad as if it happened yesterday. And I'm like, heck, that ended back in 2002, you know, and we've been divorced longer, we've been married, but she holds on to that like it just happened, which is really sad, you know, because she was once my best friend and, you know, the mother of my kids, all this stuff. And to me, I'd be like, I'd totally, if she were to just say, hey, sorry, give me a hug. And I'd be like, absolutely. Because I have forgiven her a long time ago
Are
because
you
I've let,
forgiving now?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
She's punishing herself, not you. She thinks she's
And
punishing you.
I know. And see, that was the thing. That's kind of like hurting yourself and wishing damage on the other person. It's like, you're the only one that's holding on to this. I remember with my dad, because when I was little, I held some judgments and anger towards my dad. The only time I, saw my dad really was from the time I was like around 16, 17 to the time I was about 32 years old. The only time I really got to see my dad was on the first Saturday of December at the Karate Christmas party, or the banquet. And I had to share him with, over 500 other martial artists. So we didn't get a lot of quality time and things like that. So when I moved out to Utah to learn how to walk and things like that, my dad's a physical therapist. I'm thinking, hey, I'll finally, get this, relationship with my dad and stuff. But having a stepmom, made it difficult. Things like that, that for whatever reason was jealous and just tried to keep us blocked and everything. And I went through your training, and I remember one day I'm like, I'm gonna let my dad have it. I'm gonna just tell him how I feel. And I remember I finally did. I was like, Dad, I need to talk to you. He's like, all right, son, what's up? And I mean, I just and all this stuff. And he just looked at me, after I told him some of the things that personally I was holding on to. And he looked at me and he goes, well, I apologize, son. I don't even have a recollection of that in the slightest. And I
Hmm.
was just like, what the hell? I was like, I've been angry over this moment for so long. How could you not even remember? Do you not realize how important this was to me? Just being a chump. And he's like, well, did you let go of it? And I was just like, yeah. He goes, can't do anything about it now. Where do you want to move forward with this? I'm like, I want to be close to you. He goes, well, let's do that. I was like, talk about somebody just like taking your balloon and just letting all your air out where you have no anger left. You're just like, he like took it, made me laugh, because it was just like, he just says, look, anything you want to blame me for, go ahead. I'll take it all. I don't care because I know who I am and I know I'm here for you, son. I love you. And I was just like, he goes, you want to hear about from my point of view? And I was like, yes. And when he shared his point of view, I was just like, I never thought about that in my life, but I never took the time to understand my dad. I was only coming from my point of view, and but now it's like I'm so close with my father, and I'm absolutely blessed and grateful, but it took that time of just learning to understand and forgive. It was like for me growing up, my dad wasn't there a lot. He always worked all this stuff, and it wasn't until we were older and stuff. And one of my brothers was in there saying, "Man, he is like one of the most Christ-like people I've ever met." And I was like, "Dad, what are you talking about? He barely even goes to church, right?" And he's like, do you realize how much this guy serves others, how much he gives of his time, the things that he does for other people? And he just started, and I just never looked at it from that point of view. And so it taught me a lot about forgiving and about, the way I judge people, the way that, I'm living my life. What's that say about me and the way that I'm holding my own perspective and not being open to a bigger picture, but the one thing that I've truly noticed is the more I forgive myself of my mistakes, the more I forgive others, and it makes it easier. It's kind of like even in scriptures when it says repent, we repent, we give them away to God, and it says God remembers them no more. So why do I still feel guilty? Why do I still feel the same way? It's so that we remember the way we felt so that we don't do that again. It's like you said, it's a reminder so that we don't make the same mistake. If you go make the same mistake, you weren't really asking for forgiveness, right? If you did the same thing, because now you're consciously doing it,
Now we're
right?
now we're
And
perverting the concept of forgiveness.
exactly, so
Oh, I'll do this, and we probably did this as kids with our parents, because they'll always forgive us and love us, and do we so we do little things. I mean, I was scared to death to cross my parents, but I did things that, you know, um, they wouldn't have liked. Not big things. I mean, I grew up in Southern California, and I wasn't part of a religion at all, but I was probably more living a religious life than most of the kids I went to school with, who many were religious. Because I was just, but it wasn't out of, well, some of it was out of conscious, but some of it was out of scared to death to get in trouble. Um, but, one thing that we can say in the concept of forgiveness, rather than saying, I have forgiven, and it really isn't about anybody, it really isn't. I am forgiving. I am forgiving, and it matter if you say, well, I am forgiving of you. It doesn't matter. I am forgiveness. So if I am forgiveness, it is all inclusive. And because even when I say I'm forgiving of you, it can imply that you did something wrong. Give an example. We've taught the concept of forgiveness I have thousands of people. Give them challenges about forgiveness. And here's like an amalgam. This is not one particular student of a typical forgiveness challenge. I went out and I called somebody and I told them I forgive them for screwing up my life. And they didn't respond well.
Why not? That doesn't make sense.
I forgive you for being such a schmuck. That's, okay. We learn, ready, fire, aim. We just fire and then, oh, maybe I missed the mark there. But forgiveness isn't, it's letting go of the idea you screwed up my life, because I'm accountable for everything. We talked about that in the last one, never about the other person. You didn't screw up my life. You don't have the power to screw up my life. When I'm forgiving of the judgment that I had that stopped me from learning the lessons that I was to learn by going through this way. That goes a lot deeper, and I don't want to go there here because, people will just, this is nuts. Bye-bye. But really, people don't have the power to screw up our lives. We do. And even then, we don't screw up our lives. We're just creating new lessons for ourselves. And we can learn them by forgiving ourselves for the perception of screwing up. And with that, I get to run. But anyway, this has been good. I enjoyed the first part that nobody's going to see.
I don't know. I still recorded it, so I don't know. I might put it up there. Or should I send it to you?
Even with that topic, that includes that.
I'll send it to you so you can see it.
Yeah, I don't want it to go out, though, because, no, it's just, I'm not willing to go
political and all that stuff. Yeah, I get it.
Just my and you talking as guys, and that's all. But anyway, this has been fun. This has been great.
Appreciate your time, brother. You have yourself a great one, huh?
You too. See you later.
All right. Take care, brother. Bye.